Well, this is always a huge honor. The undisputed UFC featherweight champion is in the house as he prepares for his next title defense at UFC 273 against the Korean Zombie. But perhaps the biggest honor of all is his local Illawarra hotel rebranding as the Volkanovski Hotel for the month of March, with Alex having his own beer, steak range, cocktails, and by the way, all purchases contributing $1 to Shell Cove's Kids Wish Foundation. Alex, the great Volkanovski, times are good. Welcome back to Submission Radio.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, man, a lot happening. Obviously got the big match coming up, but cool little gig there at the Volkanovski. Yeah, man, pumped. I'm looking forward to seeing how all that plays out as well. You know, coming back home, and I'll probably celebrate a little bit at the Volkanovski with everyone once I can come back. But it's cool to see, man. It's everyone's hyped up about it, so it's cool.
I know that being the featherweight champion is one thing, but surely this is the biggest crowning achievement, right? Having a hotel named after you. And also, is it kind of weird? Like, you're in fight camp. It's a good time and also a bad time in the sense that you can't really go in there and just, smash a steak and beers and just enjoy it to its max.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. I think they're going to have it, the Volkanovski, maybe for a little bit after the fight as well. So I might be able to come back, drink a beer there and have one of my own steaks there, and maybe have a few beers with some of the supporters, So we'll see. But, I mean, it is cool, man. It is cool to see. We went in there and did a little bit of like promo stuff for it, and it was cool, man. Actually see it on the sides. I've seen photos and that, but then they had the coasters, the windows, the signage on the windows, the posters. We've photoshopped my head on some of the beer posters and things like that. So they went all out, man. It was pretty cool to see. But I've spent some time in pubs, but to see that you're in your own pub was pretty cool.
Yeah, well, I was going to jump in and say, if we had a Submission Radio hotel, it would likely be paid by the hour and you'd have to bring your own bug spray. This thing looks very, very nice. Got to ask before we move on from this, the Volkanovski cocktail, just quickly, what does this thing involve, just for people who want to get involved at home who can't make it down to the pub? The
cocktail?
Yeah.
That's actually my missus' gig. She's doing the cocktail. Mm-hmm. So she's into a cocktail. So I couldn't tell you. So it's going to be a surprise, but I guarantee you it's going to be good. The beer tastes good though. I haven't tasted it. I mean, a few people. I poured a couple of beers while I was down there, and people were pretty impressed. So that's cool. But the cocktail, I couldn't tell you exactly what it is right now because Emma's working with the Volkanovski Hotel to sort that out.
I was going to say, with the beer, once you do taste it, we might have to send some over to our friend John Morgan, because when it comes to beer, there's only one beer head in the MMA game, and that's our friend John. I bet you he'd absolutely love it. I'd absolutely love it. And by the way, I hope that there's we can try and get some of this beer outside of the hotel, man. Do you reckon there'll be plans one day to maybe taste some of it around Australia? Maybe send it down to a few bottle-os so we can all enjoy it?
There'll be some sort of alcoholic beverage that'll probably have my name on it soon, I reckon. But I don't know. We haven't looked at. We've got that beer right now. That's gone. But again, this is it's not a permanent thing. Obviously, it won't be the Volkanovski forever, which is unfortunate. Maybe we can change that soon. But yeah. So it's not all permanent. But I mean, again, it's all for a good cause and that as well. So as soon as they brought it to my attention, they wanted to do this, and especially for the charity and things like that, I jumped straight on it. And, it's for the Kids Wish, which is for the disability and autism and all that, which hits close to home for me because my nephew is autistic. So that's something that as soon as they bring it up, they ask, who did I want to donate it, which charity and things like that. And, I told them, the Kids Wish straight away and jumped straight onto it. So it's cool, all for a good cause. And hopefully, I'm sure the support I get back home is incredible. So I'm sure that's going to do well.
Yeah, man, dude, after this, I'm going to work and I'm seeing an autistic boy. So I love it, man. I love the course. Really, really appreciate it. Close to myself as well. But obviously, there's a lot to catch up on, a lot to talk about as far as Korean Zombie, UFC 273, your fight. But seeing as we are sort of hot on the heels of UFC London just 2 days ago, we got to get your thoughts. Obviously, your teammate, and good friend Dan Hooker making his featherweight re-debut against the very, very impressive Arnold Allen. But I got to think, man, that was probably a pretty tough one for you to watch as you're watching it out playing live. Sort of what was going through your head where you saw Dan, not really get the desired result?
Yeah, man, it's always tough to see people things not going their way, especially when you know how much they want it. You know what I mean? Like he's making big moves, cutting the weight and trying to commit to this division. So he's not just doing it. It's obvious that he's not just doing this for a paycheck or anything like that. He wanted to take this all the way, and you could see how committed he was to it. And I thought he looked great at the weigh, and I thought, he looked good. And obviously it might not have had anything to do with the performance, but you never know. Obviously, it was hard to watch. Arnold, I knew is a tough fight anyway. Arnold Allen is no joke. Dan was putting the pressure on, which I thought was okay, because I did notice Arnold looking very nervous. He ended up saying that after the fight, and I thought, man, he looks so nervous. I couldn't believe how nervous he was. So I thought putting the pressure was okay, but I think it was just maybe a little too aggressive, especially once Dan got tagged. He got a little aggressive, and it obviously didn't work out for him, which was tough to see. But that's the game. He'll bounce back. I'm sure he's healthy. But at least with Arnold Allen, if there was anyone that was going to do that to one of my friends or teammates, I guess I'm glad it's Arnold Allen, because he's a pretty cool dude. Very respectful, and what's the word, like sweet dude? I want to say sweet, but he can obviously
just too sweet.
He can obviously kick ass at the same time. But I mean, as I say, I've always got my eye on all of these contenders, and I've had my eye on Arnold Allen for a while, and I think it's just he just needs these top ranked guys, and he obviously proved himself with that fight. But with Dan, I'm sure he'll be back. I haven't got to talk to him or the team about it yet, so hopefully he's healthy and he's all good.
Yeah, he's just too sweet, just like Scott Hall, RIP, what a legend. And I was gonna say, man, with Dan Hooker, he always inspires us with his mindset. So can't wait to hear from him and what's next. But his career has been inspiring for the fans for a really long time. So he's always going to be a huge staple for everyone. Got to quickly say that you just mentioned it, like Arnold Allen, great dude, sweet dude, but also it's kind of fun as well to have a possible contender that's not named Max Holloway that you could look forward to in the near future.
Yeah, man. Well, that's what you want. You want all these guys knocking at the door. You know what I mean? You want all these guys climbing this mountain, and let's see who's next. This hype around people and things like that. So that's why I've been just waiting to see all these contenders just fighting each other to earn that number one spot. Because as you said, like you want different faces. You want different people. You want the MMA fans hyping up all these new people. So it's. You don't want to see like all these guys come and then all the way back down, or not fighting each other, which it seemed like was a little stale, the division for a while, where no one was really fighting. All these top contenders, whether they were waiting for a title shot to get given to them, I don't know what it was, but no one was active. There was only very few that were active, and no one was trying to take that number one spot, which was why Max was always going to get that trilogy, and that's why he got the trilogy. Because if there was someone else that was up there, Max wouldn't get it. But I mean, if there's no one else and Max is the only one taking fights and winning, obviously that's why he would have been next. But we'll see what happens. But it's good to see new contenders coming up, and obviously Arnold Allen's not far away at all. So we'll see what happens.
By the way, it was supposed to be you and Max initially at UFC 273, and then obviously ended up being Korean Zombie. But then Max did offer to be a backup for this fight. Did you ever get any clarification on that situation? What exactly happened?
I didn't get any clarification. Obviously, I heard about it, and obviously it was frustrating because at the time, I really wanted that fight. You know what I mean? And so once you heard he got injured, especially when they announced it earlier, it was all a bit confusing and frustrating. So you see my frustration. Obviously, I wanted to tweet and get at, have a little shot at Max and his fans. But, that was the only reason, which was pretty silly on my behalf, to be honest. You know what I mean? That just shows you where sort of my head was at back then. You know what I mean? I was, that's something that I've really been working on lately. in the really in the not too far away. I've been really working on just not worrying about what people think and all that type of stuff, because it was running everything for a while. I think because I'm such a people pleaser, right? I always want people on my side, and when they're not, like I take whatever they say to heart and all that type of stuff. So I've always cared what haters said and what all these people would say. So I always felt like I had something to prove and wanted to get back at them. But now I literally don't give a F about any of that, which is something I'm really growing with. You know what I mean? Obviously, I've always been confident and all that type of stuff in the cage, but I'm really starting to, inside and outside the cage, just be comfortable with who I am and what I'm about, and that's it. Stop caring about anything else. So that's something that's been a big change for me. And I bring that up just purely because, as you can see, obviously things that I'd say, I don't even know if he even asked for that. Let's be real, that could have just been people just, obviously, I think it was Brett Okamoto that put it out there. Obviously, I was a bit like, what? How does this work? As if we're going to have our trilogy on a late replacement, and that's not how this is going to work. So I was a little frustrated, but for me to even let it get to me, and we don't even know the real story behind it and all that, but it just shows you how much I was diving into the wrong shit, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? It just, and I felt like I had to say something about it when I didn't even know if it was true, but it just shows you sort of where I was at. Maybe these lockdowns and, COVID and all that type of stuff was really getting to me. But now, and I'm comfortable to even talk about it, but I mean, now I'm in a real good headspace and very, very comfortable with who I am and what I'm about. And but I can't wait to get in there. Fight week is going to be a different fight week, and it's going to be a different fight night. You are going to see it, and it's going to be pretty incredible. This one's going to be a real big one for me, 100%.
Well, I think it's fair enough that you were confused about it, because I think fans were confused about it because it's like, well, dude, if you could be the backup, why isn't the fight happening? So I think your reaction was very understandable. And by the way, I appreciate you shedding some light on all that stuff, man. I had no idea that that stuff was bothering you. Like, for me and Casper and everybody else, you've always been such a cool, chilled out guy. So this is something that's sort of just come into play now, Alex, where you sort of have been able to block out some of this stuff, or and also what happened for you to be like, all right, I need to make this change right now? What happened to you when you realized that?
I think it's something that I've always done, you know what I mean? And this is, again, I don't want to get too deep into it, but this isn't just got to do with fighting. This is the type of guy I am, right? When I say I'm a people pleaser and I overthink things, I'm so worried about what people think and all that. I was so worried about what people think. I was worried about what haters think. You know what I mean? Haters, let's remember, these haters are going to hate me no matter fucking what I do, no matter what I say, no matter who I go and beat. And, I could knock out anyone. They're still going to be haters and they're still going to be very negative. Why would I think everyone's thinking what these haters are thinking and things like that? You get what I mean? I took these things that these haters and people that were never going to give me the chance anyway, I was taking what they were saying in so much that I started thinking that a lot of people, you know what I mean? So then I had something to prove to. I felt like I was proving to everyone and all this type of stuff. And then it's crazy. Again, it's something that you know about it. You hear people talk about it. Obviously, you hear people talk about the social media and the negativity and all that type of stuff. It's something I've always known about, but I didn't realize how much it was properly affecting me till I started seeing the energy I waste on all this shit. You know what I mean? And not just that. Like I said, even outside of MMA, even just I'll have a conversation, a text message, and I'm overthinking, or is he going to think I mean this or that? You know what I mean? I'm so worried about what people think all the time. It's like, wait a second, if they're going to think negatively and pretty much change your words and think, you know what I mean, that's on them. You know what I mean? And things like that. So that's the type of guy I am. I'm always worried about what people are going to think and all that type of stuff. And because they're doing this, and then sometimes I feel like I've got something to prove to these people that are thinking, you know what I mean? So there's a bit of ego there, while it's pretty confusing. But I mean, at the same time, I'm finally done something about it. And let me tell you, the weight off my shoulders is just incredible. I didn't expect to get so deep in this. I feel like, but I mean, it's
No, it's good, man. It's good. I think because I think people can learn from this. You know, like I think a lot of people feel the weight. You know, from this kind of stuff.
That's why I want to talk about it, because I'm sure everyone has this problem, right? Social media can be a big problem, especially with negativity and all that. But one thing I want people to know is, the people that are usually loud and saying the negative things, not everyone's thinking that. That's a small majority saying it, but I mean, they're usually the most vocal. So don't listen to it. Don't let it get to you. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, you know what I mean? It's not what everyone's thinking, but like literally, like that's what I thought. Like I'd feel like that's how it was. And because I'm a pretty down to earth type of guy, and I'm from a small town, you know what I mean? So I'm always, even outside the octagon, you know what I mean, in the ring, because I'm, like I said, I'm grounded, right? I end up, a lot of times I'm pulling myself up. Like, who do you think you are? You know what I mean? So people are, well, you think you're the man, don't post things like that. Or, you know what I mean? Like, so I can't be comfortable with who I am because I'm worried what people are going to be thinking. But I mean, at the end of the day, you're the champ. You know what I mean? You're the champ. You're allowed to own that status. You're allowed to wear that crown, and you're allowed to wear that proudly. But I felt like I couldn't because I didn't want to, you know what I mean? It was like, you talk about tall poppy. It was like I
was just going to say, 100%.
I'm my own tall poppy going, hey, come down here. What are you doing? You know what I mean? Who do you think you are? You know what I mean? And it would definitely pull me right down where I would like forget about everything else. And then, and I'll be in the, I am the same person I was 10 years, which I'm glad with. But I mean, again, I was way too sheltered. Not sheltered, way too, what's the word I'm looking for?
Like repressed, you were holding back.
Yeah, holding back, or didn't want to say the wrong things. So I could never really, really be myself. You could see me being chill and all that, but I was holding back a lot. It's hard to explain. Again, it goes down to even little tiny things. As I said, text messages and the littlest things, you know what I mean? Where now, mate, like I couldn't care what anyone says almost, you know what I mean? I'm almost going ruthless. I care what people that care to me think. If someone that I care about starts noticing things and they're saying things, all right, there's a reason why they're saying that. You know what I mean? Respect for people that I respect. But I mean, if it's someone I don't know that hates me because I beat up someone they like, or, they just hate me for whatever reason, do I really need to take what they're saying serious? I don't. But I mean, it's just something that I've definitely overcome. And again, the reason why I'm talking and really trying to express it and show people deeply what I mean, like, and going into detail, because I think a lot of people can relate, because it is a big problem nowadays. But I mean, you hear it time and time again, you hear on all the podcasts, people talk about negative and you can't, don't give a fuck sort of attitude. But man, really, like, sometimes it's got to be like that. And it wasn't until not that long ago, I finally went, you know what? That's it. No more. And you've got no idea how much freer I am right now. The freedom I have right now, you know what I mean? Like it's just incredible, you know what I mean? And it's not only freedom outside, that I feel like the freedom I'm getting even at training, and the freedom I'm going to have in the cage April 10th, or April 9th in America, like, it's going to be a whole new me. And, I cannot wait to just go out there and do my thing. Like, either, you know what I mean? A lot of times I'm second guessing myself, even with techniques that I'll do and all that, you know what I mean? It can sometimes go into there where now, like, you know what I mean? It's none of that. The freedom of, what I see and, how the knowledge I'm taking in, the information I'm taking in from techniques, and when people, you know what I mean? It's incredible. And what I'm seeing right now, the things I'm capitalizing in the gym, my strength, fitness, you name it. Like, I'm on a complete other level right now, and I know every fighter's going to say that every camp, but the beauty of it, I am going to show everyone April 9th how many levels above I am, and it's going to be pretty incredible. So I can't wait, man. Honestly, I can't wait.
That's awesome. And also, like, it's I can't really add too much to what you said, but it's very, very relatable, and it is something that, like, I've gone through a lot. I'm sure Dennis has. And it's like, you got to find that line. Like, it's good that you're checking yourself. It's good that you have that self-awareness, but then when it becomes to the point where you're, like, almost masking who you are, and you can't live freely, then yeah, it definitely becomes a problem. So that's awesome. Congratulations, man, on sort of, finding that, addressing it, and then, making yourself freer. Just quickly going back to what we were talking about before. And by the way, my Skype died for like a few seconds, so I might have missed it. But do you want a backup? Like as a fighter, are you like, you know what, they'd be good to have a backup here? Because we know like Bryce Mitchell, for example, he was putting his hand up, he wanted to be the backup. Or as you go in there, are you kind of like, look, I don't really give a shit whether there's a backup or not? These are things that you can't really control.
Yeah, man. Look, it's a tricky one. You know, because at the end of the day, you're the champ. You know, you've got a belt. And, you obviously got to take that serious. And no matter how confident I am that I'm going to beat everyone, if I'm fit, I'm going to beat everyone. No matter how confident, you're going to have your team and all that are going to be like, no, like, because especially we go down to the detail in preparations. Everyone knows that. So, if it was up to me, I would probably just fight anyone. You know what I mean? But, again, this and purely because I would be worried about what people think, right? Back in the day, like, 6 months ago, I would have been, I'll take on any replacement purely because I didn't want people thinking I'm scared or this or that. My team are going to be telling me otherwise, going, look, you don't have to do this. What are you talking about? You're the champ. You know what I mean? You don't need to fight a completely different fighter on a week's notice. But why do you think you need to do that? But I mean, you get what I mean? It's because I would want to prove something to people that probably aren't going to say anything anyway, but just to those couple that might. You get what I mean? That just shows you how much these can crowd your decision making and all that type of stuff. So I would sit there, talk to my team. If they were comfortable with everything, I'll do it. If they weren't, I wouldn't. And I'll be comfortable with that decision. And that's something that I've grown a lot with. Decisions I'm making. Even if I make a wrong decision, the way I can accept it now. I don't sit there and think it's the end of the world like I did, when I was when I was going through all this shit. Right now, it's just like, whatever, it's all good. They'll forget about it, whatever. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. Like, so the freedom, as I'm talking about, the freedom I have now is incredible. So it's a good question you're asking, because if you asked me this question probably 2-3 months ago, I would have probably gave you a completely different answer. And you know what I mean? But right now I'm comfortable to say I don't know. I don't know. It depends who it is. Put it this way, like when they talked about the trilogy with Max on a week's notice, I'm like, no, we ain't going to do that. That trilogy isn't going to happen on a week's notice. You know what I mean? Especially when you are going to be these guys. They're obviously training for me. Or you could say they're training for both of us. But I guarantee you their main focus is me, because if they don't get that fight, they're hoping to get it in the near future. So they've got their army, they're game planning for me, they're doing all this sort of stuff. So they're all going to have that advantage. So I don't feel like I need to fight somebody if I have to. Obviously, I would let my team. I don't even know if my team's talk to them. They might sit there and be going, look, we ain't comfortable with a late replacement. We'll just push it back a month or whatever it is, and blah, blah, blah. See, I don't know. I'm just speculating what them conversations. But for me, I'll see what my team has to say. Because if you ask me, I feel like I beat anyone because of the shape I'm in right now. What I'm doing in the gym, I don't really care who's in front of me. But at the same time, that's still not a smart decision. You know what I mean? That's something that I would have to talk to my team about.
Yeah. Absolutely, and we totally understand that. And by the way, I was just thinking, to your question before when we were talking. Imagine being a UFC champion in the 90s or the 2000s, like, and not having social media and being just like, hey, like, no one knows anything, or being a footy player back then. Remember all the stuff that the NRL and the AFL players used to get away with? It's just a different world for our athletes now, and it's just such a different landscape. Just got to quickly ask you as well, man. I know every time we chat, you mention how you'd love to move up, and there's some great big fights for you, and you always say, look, towards the end of the year or towards here, I'd love to give it a crack. I'm wondering, like, I always get the feeling that this whole Max thing has kind of been one of the hurdles that you kind of needed to get past to do that. I know you were telling, like, James Lynch, for example, our friend James Lynch, that Conor McGregor would be a dream fight at 170. Do you kind of see, like, getting through maybe this Max trilogy or just getting stuff done in the division a little bit this year, maybe is that hurdle where you can go through and start having some of those fun big fights that you were hoping to do?
Yeah, man. Like, again, like, I've got a division to hold. That's always been my main goal, especially the featherweight division, purely because I still got some work to do. And obviously I haven't been as active as I wanted to be through COVID and all that, and then, all that type of stuff. So this year I want to get 3 fights. But the thing is, I go out there, do it. I plan on doing this fight. I want to fight 3 times this year. So I go there and I stay active and I do this. I guarantee you, the shit's gonna really go up for me within 6 months, and people are gonna definitely want to see me in different divisions, want to see these. You know what I mean? So it's all gonna be positive. There's all gonna be a hype and all that type of stuff. So that's all coming, and I feel like that the lightweight fights are going to be there and going to be an option. It depends on what our division's doing as well, because you talk about the contenders, right? If you've got number 1 contenders, why would you move up while there's a guy standing there waiting? But if it goes stale like it is sort of like it was, a few months ago and things like that, when I say stale as in there's no clear number 1, then that's the perfect time to go up. You know what I mean? So that's stuff. But again, like I've got a job to do. I want to stay active this year, and before the end of the year, I think there'll be more clarity around when we could do that and things like that. And when you talk about the Max thing, and you touch on it and be like, oh, it's unfinished business, blah 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 blah. Again, like let's remember who was really asking for that fight. It was me. I was the one. He's sitting there talking about money fights and all this, and I don't really care too much about them. But these are things coming out of his own mouth after his fight. And who was sitting there going, no, shut up, why? Again, because of the state I was in. I was like, no, I've got something to prove, you know what I mean? He was playing his games and all that. Right now, honestly, you try that sort of stuff and you talk about money fights and all that, that's it. I'm 2-0 against you. I've got, you know what I mean? That's it. Whatever. Fine. You want to talk about that? All right, go. I'll fight someone else. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Because again, I don't have nothing to prove. You know what I mean? Now, like the freedom I have, which was different. It was different before. It was something that I need to shut up these haters. Blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? I've got something to prove. Blah 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 blah. Whatever. But now I'm at a stage where if there's top guys here. Max, obviously he could have had that chance. He got injured. It's unfortunate. I'm not saying that he did it on purpose. It's unfortunate for him. But, I mean, if there's going to be guys, who knows if Max is going to get that trilogy straight away. But if there's no one else, he's proved that he's the next best guy, he's going to get it. So that's how it goes down. And before, I don't, it probably wouldn't have mattered if there was someone else there. I probably still would have tried to make sure it was Max purely again because I had something to prove. But right now, I'll weigh the options, and if that fight happens, I look at it as, all right, why does this? Yeah, this better benefits me for this. Okay, that's why we're going to do it. I want that to be my focus in decision-making and all that type of stuff. Not proving haters wrong is my main reason for a decision. Does that make sense? So don't get me wrong. It doesn't mean I'm saying I'm not going to do it, because at the end of the day, let's be real. Max is a great fighter. He's proved himself. He's a big name. He's going to be a big draw. The trilogy is going to be massive. So there's a lot of pros, and there's a lot of positives out of that. So they're the reasons why that trilogy is going to happen, not because of what I wanted, three months ago or a couple of months ago. Which is, I don't know if people are going to realize how big that is, but for me, that is absolutely massive. Making the decisions for the right reasons. And accepting my decisions and having the freedom for that, and just, mate, it's incredible. It really is. So we'll see what happens. But right now I've got zombie. You know what I mean? And where I'm at right now, it wouldn't really matter who was in front of me. April 9th, I'm going to do work because I'm in just too good a nick, and I'm literally in the prime right now. Like I've never been better than what I am right now.
Yeah, or just going on what you were saying, like sometimes you can do the right thing for the wrong reason. So it's good that you've got the clarity and you're clear-headed now to where you can do things for the right reasons, the right motivation. Just one more thing before we talk.
Even if it's the right decision, but having the right decision for the wrong reasons is still wrong. But even though it is the right decision, like as in say that is the fight to make, but you want it for the wrong reasons, that's a bad thing. You know what I mean? You might get away with it there, but I mean, if that's how your thought process and that's how you're going to be in the future, it's going to bite you in the ass. It's going to hurt you mentally and physically. So, that's that's something that's been a big change. Sorry to cut you off.
No, it's okay. What I wanted to ask is, when you mentioned to James Lynch how you'd like to fight Conor as a dream fight, like that's totally understandable. But why 170? I was very curious about that. Why would you want him? Why would you want to fight him at 170? Because he was speaking to Oscar Willis of the Mac Life. They did a fantastic pub talk, and he's targeting Usman. He wants to come back against Usman. I'm curious, what you think about that fight. But why do you want to fight him at 170? Why not just like 155?
Oh man, like obviously it would be 155. I guess
Right.
you just say these things because I would. At the end of the day, I would fight him at 170 if that was like the deal breakers. Like, nah, I'm not fighting unless it's whatever. You know what I mean? I'll do it. But I mean, at the same time, we know he can make 155, and I'm sure that would be the decision if that was to happen. But I mean, that was purely again the reason why I'd want that. Obviously, I talked about it and I'm honest about it. Everyone wants that fight. People, I don't know, I'm sure they all say it's because of the money and all that as well, because it is. Obviously there's money behind it. There's the draw would make, the pay-per-views, you name it, all that type of stuff. But not just that. Let's remember he is the only other featherweight champion that I haven't beat. So that's something that when you talk about legacy, you know what I mean? And then me fighting even in a different weight division is still, if anything, that's probably worse for me. But if I go out there and do that, I still feel like that comes into play for my legacy in the whole featherweight division. I definitely think it does. Some people might say he's not in his prime and all that type of stuff, but whatever. But I mean, I definitely would love that fight. I think stylistically it's good, and then obviously the money and the circus around it. But then not just that. Let me get all the featherweight divisions. I'd love to take them all out. You know what I mean? So all the featherweight champions. So that'll be pretty special. And that question was brought up, like, what would be your dream fight? And that would have to be it, because there's this. It makes so much sense in a way where there's so many positives out of the whole thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I love that aspect of it, of the angle of, hey, look, these are two of the greatest featherweights of all time. Let's have a crack and let's see who's the greatest featherweight. But let's do it at 155 because one of them can't really make featherweight, right? So it would be a really, really great fight. And by the way, maybe I'm biased, but I would just absolutely love to see you guys do that. So hopefully one day something can come together like that. Let's talk about Korean Zombie Man, because he's been in the UFC for so long. I'm just wondering, man, before you got into MMA, you're still playing footy and stuff. Were you a fan of his when he was in the WEC or early in his UFC days? Because Korean Zombie was one of those fighters where he's sort of been like a fan favorite to watch for like over a decade now.
Well, that's it. I'm pretty sure he was in the UFC before I even started. Maybe was it more than 10 years?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you include the WEC, I could find out right now. But when did
WEC come? But I mean, look, that just But I've known about him forever. Like again, and we talk about legacy. I'm talking about Conor McGregor and all that. He's been one of the legends of the featherweight division as well. He's been at the top for forever. The Korean Zombie's always been a contender. You know what I mean? Knocking people out and all that type of stuff. There's always been a lot of hype around him for however long he's been in, since the featherweight division was even brought into the UFC. You know what I mean? So this is a legacy fight as well. And you know what I mean? He's obviously coming off a win, and the injury with Max and all that. It all made sense when just right now this is the fight to make, and I'm glad it's sort of happening, because again it's a feather in the cap that I get to take off. We don't know how long he is in this sport for, and especially because how long he's been in here. But I mean, he's a big draw. There's still a lot of hype around him, and he's got a lot of fans and all that. So a lot of people are going to be tuning in. So it makes sense, obviously, when you talk about the hype and pay-per-views and all that type of stuff. Then you talk about legacy fight, and then you talk about who's next in line. Obviously, after the Max, you've got the other guys that are coming off losses, and then he's the only one coming off the win with Dan Ige. So it makes sense at the same time. So if there was ever a time for Korean Zombie to fight for the belt, it is now. You know what I mean? And I'm glad that's happening, because, again, we've all been a fan of Zombie for a long time. But April 10th, I ain't a fan. I'm the champ that's smashing a contender. You know what I mean? And that's what I plan on doing. And What will help me with that, even though I know he's a respectful dude, he has said some things before. So I like him. I know it wasn't him. I know it was his team saying stuff. I mean,
you mean when he called you when he said it's shameful that you're the champion of the division? Yeah, I was going to ask about that.
Yeah, exactly. So he has said some things. You can see his sports. I even think he apologized for all of that shit. But in saying that, it still come from your social media. You still accepted and let that happen. So come April 9th, I'll punch your head through the canvas for it.
I love it. What do you think is the toughest thing about Zombie, though? Is some people say, like, look, with his style, he gets hit a lot, and this is kind of like a tailor-made matchup for you, Alex, because of the way you fight. But what are the things that you, as a champion, sort of can't forget about Zombie and have to be aware of? Otherwise, he's someone that can make any fight dangerous.
Well, there's something that you can't forget about MMA in general. You know what I mean? And that is the small gloves. That is a puncher's chance. There's a lot that comes into play, stylistically and all that type of stuff. That's just MMA in general. Then you talk about Zombie. Obviously, he's the type of guy, he looks for the finish. He's always dangerous, looking for the counters and all that. So you might say that he is hittable, but sometimes that's where he's the most dangerous at the same time. So if you commit at the wrong time, he's got to find in that chin. So you've got to be careful with that. And not just that, something that I feel people are going to forget is people, especially watching his last fight, people will change things. You're starting to see a lot of fighters start to work game plans, start to change their styles a little bit to cater for each fight. You know what I mean? So you're starting to see that, and I'm expecting that's exactly what he's going to do this time. He's going to have a plan. He's going to think he's got a strategy. I'm going to throw that strategy right out the window come 1-2 minutes into the fight. But in saying that, that's how it is. And that's no disrespect to Zombie. Like when I say that, it is going to be, you're going to have, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. But once I'm in front of you, everyone fights my fight. And that's just how it is. He's going to go back to, oh shit, I need to, I'm just going to fucking look for the chin. You know what I mean? Like that's what I feel like he's going to be, the old Zombie come a few minutes in, which is still dangerous. But again, what I'm seeing right now, the things I'm capitalizing, my counters, the openings I'm seeing, the way I'm capitalizing on the openings, the way I'm making people miss, you name it, you know what I mean? It's all really coming together. And when I say that, I've never been, this is definitely the best I've ever been. So, and I can't wait to show that. But again, this is MMA. Anything can happen. So I'm always going to show Zombie the respect there. But, I plan on really doing work. And this goes back down to, again, I'm going to go down to what I was talking about. So when I'm talking about performance, you know what I mean? You hear a lot of people like, obviously I've had a lot of decisions and things like that because you're fighting guys like fucking Ortega and Max Holloway who cannot be knocked out. So that's going to happen. But, I sit there and I want to go out, obviously, and get we talk about entertainment. I want to go out there and finish Zombie and all that type of stuff. Before I could say, I'd say this because I wanted to do it again to prove people wrong. But right now, I do, you know what I mean? I really do want to do it only because I know I can. And I'll be disappointed, as I've said this, you might have seen this. I'll be disappointed if I don't get it purely because of where I'm at and what I think, what I'm capable of. I think I'm going out there and I'm putting Zombie away, and I won't be happy if I don't. And again, the reasons why I definitely want to enforce this and make sure this happens is because you get your bonuses, the heights, the highlight reels and all that type of stuff. So all the positives that come with me doing that. Again, I want to do this for the right reasons, for me, for my family, for my team, and my supporters, all that type of stuff. You know what I mean? Money in the bank, all that type of stuff, my legacy. There you go. They're the reasons why I want to do it, not because of what people are saying. So that is something that, again, it goes so much deeper. That's what I mean. I could talk to you and I could probably relate this back, oh yeah, blah, 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 to everything. That's why I keep going back to it because, again, the freedom I have and the visions, the clarity I have around everything right now is just incredible. And I can't wait, man. You can see I'm pumped to get out there, man. I ain't fit right now. I could walk into the octagon tomorrow and do work, and I still got a couple more weeks. So bring it on.
Yeah, 100%. We'll let you go in a second, but speaking of being pumped and bringing it on, bring on the best shower and shave of your life thanks to Manscaped. We're always banging on about the Lawnmower 4.0, the greatest grooming tool, the pound-for-pound best grooming device in the world, but it means nothing if you don't smell nice and aren't clean. So thanks to Manscaped, they've got their premium shower cleaning products. You've got the body wash to, wipe away all those sins of the past. Then you've got the 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner. Nobody has time to be doing one or the other. You do them both at the same time. Then you get out, and then you've got the Manscaped hydrating body spray to keep you nice and lubricated all day long. And then you've got the deodorant, which smells absolutely fantastic. And then I've also got a lip balm hiding somewhere here as well. So you can literally be the best version of yourself. You'll be hopping out of that shower, going to meetings or jiu-jitsu or whatever it is. And people will be going, my God, you're so clean and you smell so fantastic. Thanks to the guys at Manscaped with their premium products. You know they're premium because they got the metallic containers as well. The best thing you can do for yourself, isn't that right, Dennis?
Yeah, man. Upgrade that shower routine with the code word submission. Get 20% off and free shipping today and change your life with Manscaped now. And Cass, speaking of changing your life, big fights on this weekend. Another big heavyweight fight between Dorcas and Blades. And how about this? Dorcas at plus 295, Blades at minus 370. And you guys can double your first deposit at MyBookie with the code word submission. Jump on there today. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with our friends at MyBookie, Cass.
By the way, we always talk about NordVPN and how well it helps you with all your streaming services like Netflix. You can get rid of the other ones if you just change your geolocation. So Netflix thinks you're in different parts of the world, and now you have access to more parts of their catalog thanks to NordVPN, or you can just watch fights and other things a lot more safe. But how's this? NordVPN are now giving away their threat protection for free. They're upgrading the code submission and they're throwing it in for free. So Nord's advanced threat protection feature, it's the next step in your digital security. It neutralizes cyber threats before they can do any real damage to your device. Threat protection makes your browsing safer and smoother. It helps you identify malware-ridden files, stops you from landing on malicious websites, and blocks trackers and intrusive ads on the spot, which is very good for somebody like me who goes on a lot of spicy websites and downloads a lot of questionable things. I need somebody to protect me, and I'm sure you guys are probably in the same boat. So protect yourself with NordVPN and take advantage of the fact they're giving away their threat protection for free now.
Yeah, protect yourself. Shout out to the Wu-Tang Clan. Grab your exclusive NordVPN deal by going to nordvpn.com/submission or clicking the link in the description there below. You get a huge discount off your NordVPN plan, plus the threat protection, and plus one additional month for free. It's all completely free, and it's completely risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. Do that today and change your browsing life forever. But Alex, last question from us, and we'll let you go. We appreciate you being so gracious with your time so early in the morning. What do you think about him being a part of the fight-ready team with Henry Cejudo, and sort of Henry Cejudo saying, that he's such a big, and him saying that Henry Cejudo is such a huge part of his camp leading into this fight? I know Cejudo's been speaking of social media on there quite a bit, talking about you.
Yeah, man. Again, they're going to do it, and he just does it like a. Yeah, man. Like that's just Henry. So you can't take it too serious. But I mean, he's over there with Henry Cejudo. I don't know how much. I don't know if this was just a little hello, darling, you go, bye bye, see you girls, love yous. Sorry. I don't know how much they are actually training together. But I mean, you've seen Henry Cejudo, and I look, man. To be honest, I think Henry Cejudo is probably showing everyone the same sort of stuff anyway. You know what I mean? He thinks he's got this whole game figured out, which I believe he is a clever dude. He knows what he's doing, but let's be real. I don't think he's going to show me, anything, or show him anything that I don't already know, or what my team doesn't already know, and what we understand. You get what I mean? You're gonna walk him into a trap. You're going to put him into unfamiliar territory and try to implement a game that I'm just going to take completely away from him, and you're going to leave him vulnerable because, you know what I mean? He's probably more dangerous fighting the way he always did, purely because that's just his world. You know what I mean? In the heat of the moment, he's going to have the right answers because he's been there a million times. Put him in unfamiliar territory, make him fight a different style, different stances, or whatever they're thinking of doing. You know what I mean? All of a sudden, something might work in their favor if I let them. But then once things, start not going their way, or in the heat of the moment while I'm, coming forward and getting a good angle on you and punching you in the face, you know what I mean? How are your reactions going to be in these different type of style or things like that? So again, he could show him sort of whatever he wants, but I just don't think it's enough time. You know what I mean? To just look, if he does and comes out and completely blows me away with some range and footwork and all that type of stuff, I'll credit to Zombie. But again, it's something that I'm used to anyway, something I've seen before. But I mean, I believe I'll take that away pretty quickly. But I mean, I'll give Henry Cejudo credit, where I do believe that he's still pretty clever. He knows he does know what he's talking about. But I think he just needs to be a little careful with what you teach. You got to make sure you're teaching people the right things, especially at the highest levels, because you could be thrown in the deeper end real quick.
Man, I can't wait for this fight. UFC 273. It's March 9th in the States, but let's be honest, the most important is here for the Aussies and the Kiwis as well in New Zealand. It's going to be March 10th. A sweet time on the Sunday. You versus Korean Zombie. By the way, he debuted in WEC in 2010 against Leonard Garcia, and then you made your MMA debut in 2012. So you're right, he's been doing this for well over 10 years. Follow the man on Twitter and Instagram, Alex Volkanovski, IG. Sorry, I think I said March. I meant April. What am I talking about? April 9th in the States.
April 10th in Australia.
April 10th in Australia.
In America.
Thanks for saving my ass, Alex. And thanks for all the insight, man. Appreciate you chatting to us and letting us in on your new mindset. Breath of fresh air, man. Absolutely fascinating take. And we look forward to seeing how you take that into the fight. Thank you so much for your time, Volko.
No worries, man. Thank you. Thanks for listening.
Yeah,
we gotta get on this Volkanovski beer, man. So next time you're in Melbourne, bring some with you and let's have a couple.
All right, sounds good, mate. Appreciate it. I'll see you later.
Good luck at the fight. See you, Volko. Bye.